Welcome to Spirituelle Sunday, where women of the world meet. Every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, women from around the world unite for communion with true wisdom, soul purpose, and deep destiny. Watch us on most channels at Spirituelle Society or on our website at spirituellesociety.com. Each week, through inspired teachings, soulful reflections, and supermind secrets, we explore the deeper dimensions of spiritual leadership for women and what it takes to live a powerful, purposeful, pure, and prosperous life on this planet today. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our third episode of Spirituelle Sunday. My name is Lee Jacobs, and I'm joined by my co-host, Kathy Roseborough. And I just did a little video right before this, just reminding everyone, because sometimes people are messaging me, can you send me a reminder? So if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you'll actually get a reminder. And tonight is really, really important because what we thought we would do this evening is we talked during the week about some of the most important questions and things that are going on in the world. And we really felt tonight that we wanted to talk about us being called into our next chapter of life. And really, we talk about rising women, you know, how we're meant to rise, women around the world, and support each other to rising. But often we kind of get pulled back into our old life and we resist some of the intuitive messages, as simple as, you know, make sure you have order in your life. Make sure your home is clean. Make sure you're a little more organized so that in your morning, you don't just wake up and go on your cell phone. Little intuitive nudges that we're getting now louder than we did before. And this is because we're stepping up right now and we're graduating to a much more powerful, global, and purposeful calling. Even if that's within your community, you are being called up right now, and you're being asked by your soul to level up. And this is not always an easy task, but the challenge is you can no longer tame that inner voice. Before you could put it aside or stuff it with food or with being distracted or working more. But the challenge is now it's like, what's the point of working so much or chasing success if the foundation of our life is in disorder? And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. It's about we can't prioritize the incorrect things anymore. We can't spend our major time on minor things anymore. We are being called to clean up our own house and to prioritize what is deeply important and true to our values and why we're here. So tonight's going to be a big, juicy conversation. And we always like to start with Kathy's weekly energy forecast, which I've been listening to for more than a decade. And it's the thing I look forward to every Sunday because I want to know what I'm in for during the week. So tell us.
Okay. Well, thank you. That's great. Thank you. Welcome everyone to our Sundays at 7. And I am just thrilled because the weekly energy forecast is, as Lee started to already share this, you know, what she's understanding to be and what she's feeling and knows that all your clients are feeling at the same time is this incredible calling. And that calling is a soul inspired calling. And what happens is that like this week, there's this drive, there's this creative drive that's going on inside each one of us as we're watching the world become smaller in so many ways because of technology, because of the way our advance. This is the age of mind. So our minds are bringing human beings closer together. But at the same time, there's still that piece missing of the balance in the caring and the sharing and making sure we're healthy while we're in service and making sure there's a proper give and take. So on one hand, I want to share with you to be engaging in this energy shift this week into your organization of your creativity, and really stepping into like getting yourself lined up with it, like getting excited about that lining up. But at the same time, be careful that you don't fall back, as you said, Lee, so eloquently. Watch out for the old paradigm. Watch it doesn't pull you backwards, because that is what's going to happen if you're not organized and if you're not feeling grounded and in your foundation of good order. So the question is, if we know the world is changing, we know, we can feel it, we see it, we see that there's almost like openings happening where people are networking, people are talking to each other, people of like mind are coming together, people are
Mhm.
excited about the way the minds are working around the globe. It's the age of mind, but
And
it's
there's
also the age of love.
Yeah, and there's such a powerful energy. Like you said, you said this last week, we're finding our soul family. Like we're being connected to next people that are just wanting also, they want the same things we do, and they're so passionate.
Yes.
And I, like you were saying about worldly, even just today, I spoke to someone in Africa, Bahrain, Zurich, all in one day. And the energy of my body is just so inspired. But like you said, you do get that pullback to
Well,
the,
and exactly, the pullback, the pullback. So the question I'd like to pose for tonight's discussion is, knowing that you feel inspired and excited and being called, how do you respond to that inner calling? Like, what happens when you have the desire? And desire is very important. You want to have that desire to respond to your soul's calling, answering the call, knowing you've got gifts, knowing that you want to contribute and be of service and be a part of the change that was going on globally. Mankind certainly has shifted its consciousness. How do you get into that? Like, how do you jump in? How do you respond to this inner calling without getting thrown into the chaos of what the old paradigm would have been like for you when you changed a job, or when
Mhm.
first started your family, or when you first started relationships, or when your family got bigger, or whatever the case may be, when there's other factors affecting your life? How do you respond? Well, first of all, you have to look at the picture. You look at the picture of extracting an awareness of just what it is. What part of the big puzzle do you play? Concentrating on staying somewhat in own your own parameters, by saying, okay, this is my gift. It's an acknowledgement, it's a definition of self. It helps you then rather be, oh, I'll run over there, run over there, run over there. Don't do that, because if you can
Mhm.
stay in your own zone, in your own lane, then what happens is the power is concentrated and less is lost to the pulls and the draws of the world, because
And
there's no doubt.
what would I hear this a lot, and I know I've been there too, but women who are like, I know I'm being pulled towards my soul purpose, but this lane pays the bills and makes me feel secure.
Yes, but there's no doubt that in the transition between what's paying your bills and what your soul purpose is, what really lights you up, what
Yeah.
really lights you up. I mean, there are, you've seen so many stories. You see the construction worker out there, singing a song, because they really want to sing, but they have to work construction to pay for the family. Or you see a woman out there who is working in an office, but would really rather be at her easel painting. Like there's knowing what we have to do. And in the spiritual teachings, it's the old story of, we still have to chop wood and carry water, meaning we still have some things and duties we need to perform. But what you really need to start realizing is you have the most powerful mind. And that powerful mind, which we call the super mind here in spiritual, and accessing the spiritual, the spiritual or the higher mind, is that with that super mind, when you start concentrating and
Yes.
really concentrating and embodying and living in the moments of what you are drawn to spiritually, what your soul calls you to. If you're a singer, if you're a writer, if you're a dancer, if you are a speech, CEO, you want to be a CEO, you want to lead something out, you have to enter that. And when you enter that, the forces that are pulling you do not have the same weight against you. They can't, because you
Yeah.
become stronger. You
Yeah.
become a lot stronger.
And do you find too, we sometimes get conditioned to get a bit trapped in the intellect, and we try to sort out our soul path using just the intellect alone because we've been schooled and done but that can only get us so far when we're talking about our real soul purpose.
Well, the intellect is can be a trap, because the intellect has it has only as good as the data you feed it. So the intellect is like our database of our accumulative experiences, and that our knowledge that we have, like, to date. But that doesn't speak to the supermind. So the
Mhm.
intellect will talk you out of a lot of things. The intellect is also filled with the interference from emotional upsets and traumas, as well as false beliefs and limitations that are just not true.
Yeah.
So if that intellect starts ruling you, and you start getting caught into the I can't change because I can't find time, or I can't change because I'm not good enough, or I can't change because my friends won't like me anymore, I can't change because my family will think I'm crazy. You see, if you start succumbing to, or finding yourself weakened by that intellectual the intellectual limitations, how do you get to your supermind? And the supermind is the one I'm saying you must concentrate on.
Yeah.
You must concentrate on what calls to you. You have to give yourself that time to spend on that which calls to you. That buds and grows and blossoms then, and it's strong. But if you let that intellect, it's like excuses. We procrastinate, and that's sort of a good segue into what we have going on in this world around us. Is we have all these beautiful souls, billions of them, that are suffering from the same challenge that we're talking about right now. We're talking about that, knowing that there's a greater inherent divine essence of us and our soul calling. But instead of pursuing it, we have all sorts of reasons why we shouldn't, that come up
Mhm.
from our intellectual
And the
nonsense.
fear of, well, what if I lose my network? What if there's nothing better? What if I lose all my money? What if my soul calling is wrong?
What
You
if?
know,
Can
what
you
if the
imagine?
intuition is not right?
Well, and if you start doubting your own higher intuition, and that, that's, right there again, your intellect is too strong. We do not receive spiritual and divine guidance from our intellect. We receive spiritual and divine guidance through our right brain. It comes down to us from the soul, and that's your intuition. And that's your spark right up to the realization of the true self. The intellect is, I won't say it's the bad guy, because that's not fair. We need our intellect to organize, because we need to have a rational, logical, concrete mind of our own to ration, to frame out our soul's calling. So, we love our intellect, but boy, oh boy, we sure don't want it to rule us. So, yeah, don't get fooled by the intellect. It'll play tricks on you. It will. Um, and in fairness, just as easily as you can trick yourself in being too, what's the old term, I'm going to use an old term, they've got airy fairy, which means you almost feel like you're just floating around with these ideas, and that's not healthy either. That has to have some grounding and form and framework from your intellect. So, but that's just it. What am I doing? I'm going like this. It's balance. You have to have both sides of the brain working together. So around the globe, when we're feeling on one hand our inspiration to get going, what we're seeing around the world, and this is why I love the stories around the world. You see women moving into their inspirations. You see them, they're moving into it, and they need some help.
Yeah.
They need to feel the support. They need to be able to say that they are on the right track, and how can we help each other? And so, when again, just pulling on this whole challenge of resistance, the resistance comes from an undeveloped um, relationship between the left and right side of your brain. It's undeveloped.
And it's running rampant. And I had that aha moment for myself because, I find sometimes the more you're in university and the more degrees you have, it can rigid the mind because you're overusing the intellect and not tuning into the intuition. And I almost had to like unplug a little, reconnect, and then balance the two, which took time. But I find it's like women are coming to me, and I know to you as well, like I'm aware there is resistance, there's a disconnect, something is off because I'm not happy.
Right.
But can you just tell me what to do?
Yeah. Yeah. Can you just tell me what to do? Well, that telling what to do. All right. So, sometimes when you have, what do they call it? Like, a brainstorming, I guess you call it, when people sit down and they brainstorm an idea. And that's when everybody gets together and they use their right brain. They use the ideas and the energy of the group to bring their ideas out. Well, that's something that you can also, not only doing that with others, but you're doing it on your own to brainstorm your creative ideas. And when you brainstorming and you're bringing down these creative ideas, and then you start to find that you get hit by a wall of this, oh, why am I bothering? It's not, how am I ever going to fit it in? How am I ever going to do this? All those old self-worth issues come up, all those, I can't. Know that that's a sign, and I want to make this very clear. Know that that's a sign of just an weakened state. It hasn't been practiced. It hasn't been developed and practiced. It's like, if I said to you before, I think I said, when we go to a gym, if I put a 50-pound weight in front of you and you just say, no, I can't, I'm sorry, I can't lift that. And I say, okay, then why don't we start with 10s? Why don't we start with 15s? You see, you have to practice with the actual development and strengthening of the relationship between the two sides of the mind. You said it yourself, Lee. You said you leave university, or you leave your studies, you leave high school, it doesn't matter, or you leave a course that you just took. And you've taken a course, and now all of a sudden you're like, I have my certificate, I have a course. And it's like, well, now what? Now
Mhm.
what? Well, you have to bring those two together. You have the inspiration, which I'm going to ask you again to think about concentrating on your intuition and your inspiration from your soul. Does that mean we throw away the training you had for certification, throw away your high school, throw away your university? Of course not. Those were very important parts of getting you to where your intuition and your soul mandate and the calling is there. So they're going to come together, but you have to practice. You have to be able to develop these. And will they give you a hard time? You're darn right they will. The resistance comes from us falling back or sliding back into that we can't do something. And the solution, like, why don't we jump, into some solutions on this, is that, first of all, you want to uncover that which is repetitively trapping you as the false belief of the weakness. There's
Yeah.
always an underlying false belief of the weakness, coupled with a lack of strength. So if you have this belief that's nagging at you, that keeps causing you to stop or procrastinate, you have to recognize that right away and say, okay, there's that little monster right there. We know that's not true. Now, at the same time, as you're acknowledging and finding that underlying challenge, you have to practice strengthening and concentrating on where you want to go. They have to work together. That mind of yours is the most powerful gift you were born with, but you have to use it. It has to be developed. And so when we concentrate on our gifts, when we concentrate on that strength of our mind, and we're relentless. Oh, there'll be days where you go, oh, I'm just going to pull the cover over my head. I'm not getting out of bed. And then you go, this is silly because I have a powerful mind. Creator gave me a powerful mind. So you go back and use that powerful mind. But getting at those, it's like you have to do them in tandem. Get to the underlying cause, which we do at Spiritual. That's what we
Mhm.
do. That's our foundations course. That's what we do. We dig in. We look at where you're challenged and where you need to go. And actually, even as we get out more talking about this and more people join us, I would like to see that women around the world are letting us know. I'd be delighted, I'm sure, I know you would be too, Lee, if they would send us a little chat in the chat box and say, look, I am trying, and this is what I'm finding is helping me.
Yes.
Share your moments of successes, as great or as small as they are, right?
And it's like we often, like you said, we fall back into what we know sometimes when we're in that struggle. And I know you called it kind of battle fatigue sometimes.
Yes.
But we know we're ready to kind of move on to the new us and the resilient, powerful next level of us in the world, but that old self, that old era pulls us back, and whether it's food or some type of addiction or comfort zone, or like you said, even we enter those weakened states of mind where we're, oh, why would I even bother? I might as well
Right.
just stick to what I know.
Right.
And oftentimes, if we don't have a really good highest health regime on a daily basis, we don't get enough sleep, and that's when I find that weakened mind can kind of take over my day.
Yes, exactly. And I think right there, when you talk about what are those daily things that, what are those practices that will strengthen? I mean, number one, turn off that social media. Um, that has to be delegated to just a specific time where you enjoy seeing how our world is changing. Like, it's
Mhm.
a wonderful tool. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. But if it gets out of balance, then it's no good. And
No.
also, if you're busy looking at everything all the time, then that says you're not doing your own work. That's not you're not doing something for yourself. So what I love seeing where people are sharing their successes and talking about their goals and dreams. I think it's wonderfully inspiring when we look at that on our social media or our different um, the different platforms. But don't stay there, because already you've lost minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, half an hour. You've lost the time where you could be developing your own. And when I say concentrate means bring bring your concept, that you take the concept you want to bring into the world and spend time immersed in it. Let both sides of the brain, let yourself embody it, and you feel such a lightness. You feel such a sense of, you could just people like just stay in that and experience the joy of it. That's the way you're supposed to be living. And that joy, here's one other little point I'd like to throw in here. That joy in your heart, when you are immersed and concentrating on your soul's delight, magnetically attracts exactly what you need to bring the successes you want into the world.
I love that. I love that. And I wanted to share on this topic that I do find right now that women are in a freeze mode in general, more than before. We often talk about fight or flight, but there
Yes.
is this energy right now of freeze because it's like a tug of war. We want to go here, and the idea of that makes us happy, but we're being pulled backwards to the old us, or the weaker mind is saying, oh, what are you thinking doing all of that? So there's this freeze state that women are in right now, which is one of the reasons why we wanted to launch this show, because you're not alone if you're feeling that way. It's like
Yeah.
you're getting the call, you're feeling the call. It's time to let go of this. It's time for a new career. It's time to enhance my career. It's time. You're getting the intuitive messages, but a lot of fear is lingering in the body, and there's disorder everywhere. And
Yes.
it's very easy to get sucked into an abyss of disorder when you are focused on trying to get your self-worth from other people and the outside world. And this is the big trap that's happening right now, is women are not feeling joy, and they think the joy is going to come from going to more social functions or putting their kids in more activities.
Yeah.
And the challenge is disorders just becoming a big elephant in the room. And so I just wanted to share a couple of thoughts around this. Is a necessary time for women to set a foundation of order. What does that mean? It means you have to examine every dimension of your life right now. It's very important, and look at what has to go, what isn't feeling true to me. Where am I being inauthentic because that I'm not good enough, or I need more, or I need to fit in, is almost like a little bit of a monster in your life, and it's
Yeah.
dragging you in the wrong direction. So when we talk about it's time for you to look at, take a day, contemplate the different dimensions of your life. What is messy? Where has chaos swooped into your world? Where do you need to organize? What do you need to let go of? Maybe your intuition has been telling you to plant your own food, to live more simple, to let go of all that stuff you accumulated because it's weighing you down in your life. Those friendships that are maybe toxic, or that need to please because you're looking to fit in. You know what these intuitive messages are, but now is this time of setting this order. And I also want to emphasize, because I also have been working through this, it's time to make decisions. And I know Kathy has mentioned to me too, we're kind of in a time where we don't have the luxury of a year to decide if we want to make. It's like your intuition and your
Yeah.
soul is like, if you're ready to graduate and you want to see great and you want to be happy, then you have to stop procrastinating on important choices that you know you're supposed to make, whether that's relationships, careers, money, health. It's that I'm drawing a line in the sand today, and I'm being bold, because what happens if we make weakened choices in our life, we're miserable. We might
That's
put on good clothes and great makeup and, look the part, but inside we're fractured. And it's because we're not making decisions that are aligned with our soul messaging. And that's where many women right now, they know this is happening, but they don't have a lot of people to talk to,
Yes.
and they don't know where to go for support. So it is a decision-making time, because every weakened decision we make that's not aligned with our intuition puts us in a mess. It affects our health. It makes us unhappy. And then we try to stuff our life because we hear that the intuition saying, why did you do that? You're not supposed to make that. But we don't
Yeah.
want to address it. So we eat, we medicate, we do whatever we can to silence, scroll our phone. So we can't do that anymore. And the reason that we're in more distress physically and our bodies are in more distress is because we're not living intuitively. We're living transactionally, and it's harming women globally. So we now need to step up. We need to step into our calling, but that can't happen if we don't create space for it first and we don't make important decisions. And sometimes I get asked, well, how do I know? It's like you've probably been told by your intuition for months, years. You know the decisions you have to make. And it might be little. It might be, can you please go get your car detailed?
Mhm.
Because
Yeah,
it stresses my energy field out. Can you please go get it clean? It might be, you should be fixing a few little things in your home that when your eyeballs look at it, it makes you feel fractured,
yeah,
right? So it's
that's
like
right.
clean the little messes. That's a perfect place to start.
Exactly.
Get rid of the hoard, because again, decisions that we make get stored in the body and they affect our physical body. They affect our health, which is sort of our next section, which we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
But we now have to be more mindful and conscious of every decision we make. And
Yes.
if you don't, I remember for me, I got so swooped in disorder, I didn't have time to make my green juice, and that's my value. And
Yes.
I was so angry that I'm like, okay, I got to change my life. And I know
Yeah.
it sounds hilarious that it's to make green juice, but it's symbolic. It's like you don't have time to do what's most important and sacred to you. You got to change your schedule. Something has to go. And that day I made big decisions because I was like, what's the point of chasing business and success if the foundation of my life is a hot mess or too chaotic or too
Exactly.
stressful or too complicated?
Yeah.
So that brings us into, we like to have a section on your highest health and what, we try
Mm.
to discuss a topic of health that we know women are asking us about. And today I'm going to pass it over to you to begin, Kathy, but our
Yeah.
decisions do affect our health.
Well, they do, and lack of decision may affects our health. Um, the one of the most predominant factors or symptoms that I'm finding is people saying they're tired. They're emotionally drained, they're physically drained, they find themselves being categorized because their immune systems become compromised and they start to find that they're suffering from a chronic fatigue or fibromyalgia. They have Epstein Barr. They have all sorts of things that come up in their lives that's actually tied into the immune system. Um, but we have to go back even further. Like we have to take it back to the root cause. And so, as much as I'd like to say, yes, we can look at exhausted adrenals. Yes, we could look at impaired immune systems. Yes, we could look at um, um, the nerve systems that are compromised by muscle, like poor posture and muscle issues and um, strains and stresses and tightness and tension. Yes, but that is not where we start. Those are the symptoms. So when we start to
Mhm.
find ourselves in this fatigue and this drain and this lack of motivation and this inability to do what we can do, we have to go back into the subtle bodies, which is why you said you have to do two things. We have to bring order to our external world, which means juicing, rest, getting our home in order, doing our like scheduling physically our life. But that also causes us to say, is that enough? No, we have to go to the internal order, which is where we find behind the symptomology, behind the classifications of these diseases and illnesses, behind all of that, we find there's an incredible imbalance for women in the way our formula, which is an inherently divine formula that we have been designed as women in women's bodies, that we're supposed to have a certain amount of vitality and life force that is supporting and supplying our existence. And we're supposed to have a container or framework that's in alignment with the laws of the creator with regard to physical, emotional, mental, intuitive alignment. So there's like a matrix or a structure that we have to um, become aligned with through the receptive side or more the passive side. Like you said, sometimes you just need to rest, but then we have this need for the active aspect of ourselves, which if we can call active passive, masculine, feminine, but let's just stay with active and passive. And that active part of us, what do women do? We burn it out. Like you only have so much. We are not designed the same as a male. The body is just, our systems are not designed. So if we take our vitality and our life force, which is our active side, and we turn around and we just burn that out quickly in the
Mhm.
the first few hours of the day, then you wonder why you're absolutely exhausted to hang around with the kids, drag the kids around, go shopping, go and look after business and you don't have any juice left. You don't have any life force
No.
left.
And it's funny because I made that choice early in my 20s before I had kids that I knew. I was like, the way I'm rolling, I was in corporate at the time, is not aligned with female essence. And
No.
so I made a conscious choice, like you were saying, to move towards a more healthy path where I don't have a day planner. I don't have a scheduler, and I aim to do one business thing a day so that, and my kids are like, today they were like, "Mom, do you have to do a walk, a sauna?" Like, I have my little rhythm, but it keeps me happy and healthy.
Yes,
And so I like, just to go with what you were saying, I think we're getting the memo now that the
we're
way
getting
we're built and conditioned is sucking the feminine out of us.
well, and this has come from decades and decades of imbalances. Like even when we tried to swing it over to some form of balance, we went too far the other way. We've sort of been swinging on a pendulum
Yes.
from one extreme to the other. But what I do love about our human consciousness right now around the world is that it is recognizing the health and wellness. It's recognizing that we can't continue this way. So, women who are suffering from burnout adrenals and excessiveness and hyperness and then anxiety and then crashing. So, they go from swinging into that, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. And then they crash. That we can help to stop that free fall down to the
Mhm.
bottom, catch it before it gets too late, and start to bring ourselves into order right now. And that's another thing that spiritual teaches and provides for, is to say, like, there are ways for you to catch yourself, but at the same time, like, see, I want to keep flipping it up to the advancement and success, because they are so important. As you're doing one, the other end is correcting itself. So if you say, well, if I just lay on the hammock all day this summer, I'll never get anywhere. Well, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I said that you have to acknowledge when you need the rest and when you need to do certain things that are going to bring your health up. But that brings you the energy, um, the quality of your energy to be applied to the moments where you want to concentrate on your soul mandate and you want to be a part of your
Yeah.
network. And that's what the world is calling us out to: be a part of the network, support one another. But at the same time, you know when to say no.
Yeah, and I feel like you said, there was an extreme, active, overactive female body being promoted, and then it went to yin, especially over the COVID years. I feel like women sort of hibernated all into their yin, but they're like, "Okay, I'm cooking, I'm homesteading, but I'm not sure what my purpose is.
Right.
So I'm gonna sit at home and have a nap because I don't know what my purpose is." And so now there's
Yeah,
this, like you said, this rebalance into
it's
the
happening.
middle. Yeah, and
Yeah.
do you think that's the reason, one of the reasons why autoimmune is running rampant?
Well, that has been a chronic, like it's been, it didn't just happen overnight. These are when you come into these deficiencies and these extremes that start to throw some of our major systems out of order, they happened over time. And, even let's go back to the way we think or thought in our youth of different times. And we've got a varying age of audience. But if you think about the way a 20-year-old will look at themselves, or a universe 18, 20, 21, 25, there's this sense of, I can do anything and I can go all night. I can study all day. I can go to work. I can go out for dinner. I can go out and be with my friends for hours. I can grab a few hours, a winks of sleep, and get up and do it again. Well, that's going to cause, it does catch up to you. You
The
think that
vitality
you're
tank
okay.
is more full when we're younger.
Yes,
Like
you're
the
full.
vitality tank, yes.
The vitality's up there, but you see the hidden messages. The hidden messages are saying, don't do that. Don't
Mhm.
do that. And yet, because we don't see the actual physical consequences right away, we
Yeah.
do it. And so there might be a woman listening right now in her 30s or 40s that's saying, I'm fine. I can do this, I can do that. And I'm saying, okay, but be prepared. There will be consequences. You can't tempt Mother Nature. Mother Nature's laws are the laws of our inherent divine makeup. Don't push that far. Don't
Yeah.
push it, because you will end up with something that you wouldn't even have thought of could possibly happen. Now, that's why we're in preventive care, holistic balance. Right now, we're talking about things that are bringing us back to order, back to balance. There is a need for organization within oneself. We have to stop losing our vitality. There's only so much you have at different ages. And once you use it up, you start to kick into secondary backup systems. And those backup systems will come, they'll help you until you burn them out as well. And so then you're causing secondary conditions to arise. And so, I know I'm sort of sliding into another category here, but I think it's important to explain to women that if you were to say, well, how do we build it then? Now, I like that question, because if someone says, you're telling me how I lose it, tell me how to build it.
Mhm.
Well, that is easy. You start looking at how you can use the power of your breath work, the power of aligning and being out in nature, the power of shedding the excessive technological, you being exposed to technology and computers. And, even you've got a smart fridge, a smart oven, a smart bed, a smart bathroom, a smart everything. Every room you go into, you're being bombarded by this smartness. And sometimes you better go out and put your feet on the ground and get near a tree. So balance of the systems will recharge and lift your vitality back up. Meditation, concentration of your soul. That soul consciousness is rich in life force, which is why we do the meditations we do.
Yeah, and I think also talking more about how living authentically instantly fills the tank. Like when we stop living fake or showing up in the world as something we're not, or being on the wrong path,
Yeah.
we feel this instant body refuel
Yes.
and living simpler. What has to go. And I know, like we talked about, I remember one summer I lived in the forest, like for the whole summer, and it healed my body. And a few practices that, because we want to make sure we're giving women some practices that they can do that are simple. And we talk about this on our podcast often. And everyone messages me like, I know you said, things like a rebounder. If your
Yeah.
kids have a trampoline, go on that in the morning instead of checking your phone. Move the lymph in the body.
Move it. Move it.
juicing, growing your own food, putting your hands in the dirt, walking barefoot. I mean, these are things that we know. And I always on the podcast talk about having a little chi machine at home to move the energy so it doesn't get stuck in your body, and colon hydrotherapy and walking. If you know you're healing from emotional distress or emotional trauma or mental distress, walking
Yes.
is
Absolutely.
so healing. And we think it
Absolutely.
has to be, we have to go to the gym, we have to do it. But it's like
Yeah.
walking might actually release all the heaviness from your body.
Oh,
Make it
it's
better.
amazing. Yeah, it's amazing what it can do. It's funny, just today I texted this lady that I've known for years, and I haven't seen her in a long time, but she came to my mind, and I was telling her, make a long story short, I was telling her daughter what I was perceiving that she needed. And you mentioned walking, you mentioned rebounders. Now this woman is over 50, and so she actually, what I saw she would benefit from is shifting from side to side. If you I'll describe it. It's like if you move on your right side and bounce, bounce right side, bounce, bounce left side on the back of your foot, like you're almost like you're dancing, but you're just doing it
Mhm.
in a spot, and you're just moving the energy from side to side. Now, if you want to incorporate that into Tai Chi's and Qigongs or other forms of movement, what the energy guidance is that get yourself used to moving energy from side to side, that you don't have a stagnant side of you. Because if you get one side going stagnant or trying to um, make up for, compensate for the weaknesses, you are going to get into trouble. So, just to your point about going out and exercising, walking, and doing these things, just move that energy. You'd be surprised how the life force will come back up.
Mhm.
So,
I know
speaking of
we
life
gotta get
force,
into our love meditation. So before we get into our wrap up meditation, which will just bring us back to our spiritual home before we shut down, I just wanted to invite you to share with us where you're from. You can make a comment. We would love, as we grow this beautiful sacred 45 minutes a week. We would love to know where you're from, what you're working on, any insights that you have during our programming, and anything you would like us to include maybe next week. We would love
yeah,
to support you with your beautiful journey and to connect all of us. We also
yeah,
have our podcast, which I release weekly. So that talks a lot about what we're talking about this evening. And
mhm,
if you're looking to start your spiritual studies, or you're looking to implement more spiritual power into your business, you can go to our website, and I think the message is right below, but spiritualsociety.com. And we are here to serve you and to support you and just to help you to powerfully commit, because we're in this, like I said, we're in a bit of a freeze, and we want to powerfully commit with our strength of our mind and accessing our supermind to say we can do it, but we need to practice this daily. So we would love to support you and learn more about what you're working towards. And we're going to wrap up with our final meditation.
yes, let's do our meditation. Okay, so we shall now just close our eyes, and we can start with some nice deep breaths in. And this is a time for you now to connect with the light of your soul. So tune out the external world. Let this be a time for just you and alignment with your soul's light. You can begin to visualize or use your imagination that deep soul's light is this bright, shining light above your head. And just settle everything down now. using that deep rhythmic breath in whatever style, whatever capacity you can at this time. And note that every time that you breathe in, drawing the light force inside of you, and on every exhale, that life force is moving down and through your body. And since you are here now in the inner temple of healing and wisdom, you have 4 lanterns of light surround you, symbolizing a balance. The one in front of you in the east represents a balance of your mind. The one behind you represents a balance of your emotions and the water element. The one to your left represents the fire element, the creativity and will. And finally, to your right, this one will assign to the earth element this day. And so you are breathing and connecting, each one of those lanterns of light glowing this same luminance, same brightness. And there is one very special gift is given to you as you are sitting comfortably here in the inner alignment. It's a beautiful rose of whatever color comes to your mind. Let that be perfect for you. It's soft petals, vibrant, and it represents the sacred love in your heart. As you're breathing, you might be able to pick up fragrance, the scent of that rose. And let this be a reminder of just how close you are to your own soul's light. Breathe deeply a couple more times now. And just bring that light on the exhale right down to your feet, right down to the soles of your feet on every exhale. And that is your connection to Mother Earth. And may each one of us this day, as we're gathered here together in our hearts, let us all mind and beautiful planet that we live on. Send our love. And may she be well and to protect and serve by giving us generously her resources to keep us healthy and strong. as well. And then whenever you're ready, you can bring yourself back and just open your eyes. And if you like, you can stretch out. Thank you for joining us this day. I hope everybody enjoyed their meditation, a little alignment within yourself with your soul's light, as well as sending some love out to our beautiful planet as well.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, and we'll see you next Sunday. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.